Hello, Saints. I'm in the Gospel of Matthew. I'm in chapter 18. We're going to look at verses 1 to 6, and it's called Rank in the Kingdom. We think about who's going to be first. How are you going to place yourself in the kingdom? Are you going to be great? Are you going to be down the middle? Or, just down at the bottom? Some people say I'd rather be a doorman in the city of in the kingdom of God than a prince in hell. So we're looking at this here, and it's the reaction Jesus has to the disciples. Jesus is there, and the disciples came to him, and they asked him that who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And of course, that's the question he's waiting to answer, isn't it? Not. So he simply calls for a child to come to himself and sit with him. And he says, truly I say to you that unless you're converted and become like children, you'll not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, what he says afterwards here has a big impact on Adventism after 1844, what we call the spiritualizers. People who thought Jesus came spiritually, not physically or where you could see him. And some of them were acting like little children because, unless you're like a little child, you're not going to see the kingdom of heaven. And they would crawl around on the ground on their hands and knees, eat the food with their fingers, and things like that to show that they were little children. This extremism, of course, kind of misses the point of what Jesus begins to say. Verse 3 simply, truly I say to you, unless you're converted and become like children, you'll not enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever then humbles himself as this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believes in me to stumble, it would be better for him to have a heavy millstone hung around his neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Verse 7 highlights all that. Woe to the world, he says, because of its stumbling blocks. For it's inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to that man through whom the stumbling block comes. And so Jesus is looking at the innocent little children. And these are the greatest in the kingdom. They haven't been as corrupted as the adults. And these are the ones he holds as important. The least shall be first, the first shall be last concept. It's not talking about how you and I are supposed to act in that sense, but we should be submissive as children, ready to take hold of what our Father says, ready to obey, ready to follow. When he calls us to do something, ready to say, here I am, pick me. But we're not always, because we're looking at what it's going to cost us. Do we really want that? How much of self is still in there? How much have we put ourselves in a place that's supposed to be God, his place, and not taking ourselves out? Are we still holding back, really giving ourselves to God, wanting to be in position in heaven? This just wasn't the disciples' problems asking the question, who would be the greatest in heaven? That was Judas' problem. He took it to a limit to where he had to kind of force the hand of Jesus to show himself as Messiah, and kind of backfired on him. He had to pour in. But the mindset's still there. It's a human mindset. Peter had a lot of the same problem, but you notice he overcame that. So there's hope. Even if you found yourself to be a Judas-type person, there's hope. Hope for Peter. There weren't a whole lot of difference between them. So, rank in the kingdom. Who's going to be the greatest in heaven? I think I'll reserve that for God, and I won't even worry about entertaining that idea. And I think Jesus is better off with that too. Just be willing to do whatever he has us do, and be happy to be there. That probably is the biggest lesson to learn. Put that with your daily stuff and see if you can't grow into a better relationship. You don't have to appease him. You don't have to try to commend yourself to him. Just be. And let him know that you want to be his child. And I think you'll have a better relationship with God. Your relationship and your journey will be more peaceful. And I think you'll find more joy. Blessings.